Welcome to the episode Middle Ground with JLE L.L.C, where we treat you like family. That's the theme song, Detroit Love, off my first album, the JLE Experience. On the music copyright, don't mean nothing Facebook. Always need to say that. Season 13, we got another amazing guest at a special time because we cater to our guests. And he has a lot he's done, so we're going to be very professional with this style.
You got your notes and everything. Good. All
Yes,
right.
sir. We had a speaker, 5-time best-selling author, podcast host, coach, top customer relationship management voice, and Jolles Associates Inc. President Robert Jolles, if I'm saying it right.
Well, you're in the ballpark. Don't worry about it. Keep rolling. I like hearing you talk. Keep going.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. And by the way, if that's not enough for you, about 14 years ago, I got licensed as a live auctioneer. And I only do charities, but I do charities live auctions. So that's been kind of fun for me too. Add that one to the list.
Yeah, that's to the list now. Awesome. Now, first question, what led you to this path?
As a professional speaker?
This whole journey, all of it.
Oh, the path. Okay. I came out of University of Maryland. Within 2 weeks, I was selling life insurance. I was a New York life agent, life, health, disability. And I sold for 2 years, 3 months, about an hour and a half. I actually made more money when I was 21. It took me about 15 years to exceed that income. Nothing to do with the income. I actually had, in a sense, a spiritual moment where I'm not opposed to life insurance. I think, for the right person, you need life insurance. But what's a 21-year-old doing running around selling life insurance to a bunch of 21-year-olds? So I just didn't feel good about myself, but my numbers were good. They made a trainer out of me. I fell in love with corporate training, was a trainer for Xerox for almost a decade, left 31 years ago, became a professional speaker, and got about 3 million miles in the air, 6 books. And that's what I do. I make my living on a stage.
That's amazing. Now, what is Jolles and Associates? Jolles Associates Inc.
It's it's funny. I can answer any question you ask me. What is Jolles Associates? By the way, it's Jolles, just like jaw. You got no jaw. Okay. What is Jolles Associates? We're a training company. We do consulting, specialize in persuasion and influence. So 90% of my seminars are for sales groups, financial industry. Probably work with 30 different banks in the country. Almost any bank you can name over my 3 decades, I've worked with them. But I work with Toyota and I work with pharmaceuticals. If persuasion's involved, I will get a call.
That sounds good. Now, I got the website up there. Somebody want to check it out. Now, you're a best-selling author. What led you to writing?
Well, what you learn is as a professional speaker, and we don't talk about that enough. People don't even realize there is a career called that. We know about teachers, we know about training specialists or corporate trainers, but a professional speaker is the one when you go through the Marriott and you go by that ballroom and you see that guy on the screen there ranting and chanting. That's me. And I was a frustrated actor, actually. But my dad was a Marine, and he was like, we're not having actors in this family. So I in a sense, was not allowed to be an actor. But when I got into corporate training, I realized, hey, I'm getting like an acting fix off of this. I get to get up there and do sort of a one-man show. And so all of a sudden, I got to combine my desire to act and perform. And away we went. But to be a professional speaker, to answer your question, you have to write. And and it's weird because you write a book, and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. You write a book, and the day that book comes out, everyone goes, "Oh, he knows what he's talking about." I could write about tweezers. If I write a book about tweezers in the morning, people go, "Don't mess with him. That guy knows his tweezer." I'm telling you, look, he's got a book on it. So it creates this form of credibility. Between you and me, I was just as smart the day before than the day after the book came out. But we work hard, we get these books out, and that opens the door. And like anything else, Now the door's open. The rest is going to be up to us. We got to go in there with every bit of energy, enthusiasm, a desire to become great at what we do. I'm a very competitive guy. And that means it's like a golfer. I'm not rooting against you on your shot, but boy, do I want to put a ball in the middle of the fairway, knock it home, and have the greatest round of my life.
I hear that.
To you as well. I'm not rooting against you, but I'm playing my ball. But I love the competitive nature of professional speaking. And it's competitive because we're paid a fairly good sum of money for an hour or a day or whatever it is, which means you can't go in there like a sports team and go, you know what? I didn't have it today.
Nah,
have it. No, I wish
you gotta bring it.
Before I bought my ticket to the hockey game, but they didn't have it today. You can't do that as a professional speaker. Every day is the most important day of your life when you're in front of an audience, because that's the first time they've seen you, and you got to give it everything you got. I love that, and that's why I do what I do.
And you're right. When you write a book, people look at you differently. Like, you publish 3 books.
I hope you're not disappointed. All of a sudden you look at me funny, like I thought Rob's pretty good, but now he told me that. I don't know about this guy. Why did I start at 5 for him?
Yeah,
but no,
ain't that hard. Like, oh my God, I'm so scared to write a book. Like, why? You
nah,
just put your business out there on your thoughts.
They
judge you anyway when you speak on it. Why not write it? And they go buy it and then tweet about how they hate it, but you bought it. Thanks.
Yeah.
People going back. Well, I hated someone. Let me go get it. Free advertisement.
Well, yeah, and like I said, it opens the door, and I don't want to undersell myself. I mean, my books sell pretty well, so I think I've hit on something. But I think that if you want to know maybe why they sell well, is if you ever read a book of mine, it'll read to you exactly the way I'm talking to you right now. It'll have energy and emotion. I'm grateful. It's just sort of how I'm programmed, but I write the way I speak. And quite frankly, I like books that are authentic too. I like musicians that are authentic. I like to feel that music. I didn't even realize the other day I was listening to some music. I went, boy, almost all the music I have are live versions of whatever it is, because I like the authenticity of live.
Yeah, when I record,
right.
I try to have like a live band playing.
That
sound like it. Nah, this sound like you at the concerts downtown Detroit. Like, wow. I need that feel to the music.
Yeah.
That it gives a difference. Give it something different.
Yeah. Yeah. While you're hunting that down, I will tell you something about that book, because I'm going to talk to you now, but audience, you can just take a rest, grab some Kool-Aid. I'm going to tell you need to write a book. And as my dad told me one time, it's an old saying, see that guy over there? Puts his pants on the same way you do, one leg at a time. It is the way you have grabbed on and decided I'm gonna do a podcast. It's not easy. Every show is different. You got to do a lot of work, but you know what? You're grinding. You're doing it. Writing's the same way. It's just like a podcast. Instead of 2 guests a week, it's 6 pages a week.
Yeah, I got to finish.
But grind away, and I'm going to tell you something. You write a book, I'd love to read your book. I think it would be a good book because I know it'd be authentic.
Oh yeah, the 3 I've got out are in the positive realm. I'm on Amazon, so you look up Jeffrey Edwards, you find all 3.
You got 3 books out on Amazon?
Yeah.
See, now if I were hosting this, I would have known that. But as a guest, I'm very lazy, so I didn't notice that. Well, congratulations to you, a fellow author. So obviously you're brilliant on whatever you've written about too.
That's why I'm glad you said, like, yeah, people tend to do. You did what? You like,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't hard.
You're a grinder.
Oh man.
That's
I try to live by all the titles I got up there to actually do it. Because people are like, he just lying. No, I don't lie. That's why I got media credentials. I'm a real journalist. Yes, I have my past. I can go to stuff. I write every month a LinkedIn article. I'm legit.
Good. Good. You write 1 book, you're an author. Somebody told me this once. You write 2 books, you're a writer. So you are a writer. You got 3. But one's good. Once you get that, it's like one song, great. Once you can show me, do another one that's really good. Now you're a musician,
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So
2 albums out.
yeah, when's the fourth one come out? I know 8 billion people have asked you that question. I figured I'd irritate you with it.
Well, I gotta edit my book of devotionals, and that'll
Mhm.
be the next one
Okay.
to post. So I'm looking to have it out by August. Just
All right.
read, edit, repeat, go to hookup. It's out. Go get it.
You know the process. Yep.
Yeah, because it really is like once you've done it on the Amazon KDP, okay, just what I want to put, what design, color, do, what I'm saying on the back this time. Or I might not say that much. Like, you got a book, you already know who I am.
Yep.
Like, check out all this other stuff. Do more advertisement that way now.
Yeah. Actually, you're absolutely right. The first one, I was kind of obsessed with telling people about myself on the back. By the time we got to the second or third,
I didn't know what to say. Like,
yeah,
I'm talking about myself. Born and Trey with it. Oh, okay, you gotta say something. Look at other people's books. Oh, okay. I do something like that.
Let testimonials. Let other people talk to you about on the back of the book, right?
Yeah,
let other people say this is why you want to read this guy's book.
That's a dope idea.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to do that. Now, you say speaking is competitive.
Well, I make it competitive.
Yes. And when you up there, it sounds like you in your Jordan mode when you're doing it. What's that thing it does for you to speak?
You mean when I'm in my zone, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. It's real weird. First of all, it's a tremendous adrenaline rush. Okay. And you don't really know about. I'll tell you how I know I've got a lot of adrenaline going. Other than the fact that I sweat pretty hard, and I like sweating. My wife comes to see a couple of my presentations. She almost doesn't like going, but when I'm not running, I'm sweating because I'm intense, and I know that when I watch a speaker and it walks by and it's sweat, just like a musician, and his sweat's coming off him, I'm thinking, that guy's giving me everything he's got. I'm impressed with it. So I don't want to wipe it away. I want people to watch it come off my ears and let them see I'm working for you today now. There is, to me, in terms of the adrenaline, I know a lot of times, like my knee will hurt, or maybe I got a stiff neck, or I'm got a cold or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is, the moment they go, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Jolles, my knee doesn't hurt. I don't have a cold. None of it, because the adrenaline like pushes it back. It's really weird. I could be limping off the plane, to the hotel. Well, I go up there.
You're ready to go.
I'm 25. I'm ready to go. Go. I don't even consciously know that. I just know I don't feel anything, no pain. And when you get into a zone and all of a sudden the words are coming, like a lot of times people think, well, if I get up into a crowd, I'm nervous because what if I don't know what to say? It's the opposite for me. I have more trouble sitting at a dinner table, with 5 corporate clients that I don't know and try and be interesting than talking to 500 people for a few hours.
You said try to be interested.
Well, listen, let's say I hired you, and I brought you to the table. I said, hey, this guy, he's going to be talking to us. He's going to fire our team up. We brought him in. He's the greatest in the world. And you're looking down at your peas, pushing him into the corner going, how's everybody doing? See, going, we hired who? That's the guy we hired. So you're performing at dinner. You don't realize it, right? And I've got to believe if you're around different, musician executives or whatever, you got to turn it on a little bit when you're in those social situations. Now, sometimes you don't have to ask me, I'll turn it on, but we don't have a choice when we're working. If you feel like being funny, be funny. And if you don't feel like being funny, be funny, because we hired you. But on that stage, I don't have any trouble finding words. I feel no pain. I feel blessed. It's funny, later in my career now, and the pandemic as well, I really take a moment. I like the way you started your show with a prayer. I take a moment and think, how lucky am I to be able to step in front of this room of people? I wish more people who are anxious about speaking would turn that around and realize, rather than say, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Why don't you stop and say, see that group out there? They came to see you. They came to hear you. How lucky are
Man,
you today?
I did my first speaking engagement at a former guest, Jaku Showers, um, like a kingdom business hookup they would do, and I was terrified. She started rolling off with the stuff I've been doing. I'm like, oh my God, it's people here. She's almost done. I'm gonna have to get up here. Oh my goodness. Whew. Calm down. Kobe, your boy. Mom mentality. Suck it up. You here. You gotta walk through it. But when I got up there, I talked for hours.
Right.
I'm like, wow, I've been up here an hour? Okay, ain't that bad.
Right.
But just that thought, like, dang, they looking at you. Like, if they look at you doing this, what's the difference? Like, you got a point. Calm yourself down, Joe. You're overthinking this right now.
Yeah. But you know what? Hopefully when you did it that time, if you had to do it next week, there'd be a voice in your head that says, well, wait a minute. What's our track record? Normally, this isn't as bad as I thought. Now do it a third time. Now do it a fifth time. Now do it a 15th time. Now do it a 50th time. You can see that pretty soon it's like sitting in your living room. It's easy.
Yeah.
The tough part is the flights, the storms, the Ubers.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect world, folks, but I'll tell you, when they call your name and you take that step up there, that's the fun part. And you want that audience to see how much you are enjoying that, because they'll enjoy it more as well. Just like, again, if I'm watching a musician and they look miserable on stage, even if you're making good music, it doesn't sound so good to me, right? No. I want you to look like you're joyous. It makes me joyous.
That's true. I know when I was doing Anchor first, and people kept saying, do you have a way where we can engage people? Like, no, it's only audio. What you talking about? And I came across this like, oh my goodness, we got to go live now. Oh, well. And first episode, I was terrified. Like, oh my God, people looking at me. I ain't got no makeup person, all that. But now we watched, like, I ain't want that bad. It's all right. Swear down. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. I help other people that know, like, Chuck, you'll be all right. I got you covered. Ain't that bad.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, now people might look like you like a veteran. Like, I'm still learning. I watch a lot of other people's shows, see how they engage with a guest, or if they have multiple people, how they keep it flowing. So I want to be on point.
Yeah, but you know something? I'm maybe a couple years older than you are. Trust me. And I'm still learning. And the day I look at you and say to you, hey, how you doing? By the way, I stopped learning yesterday. I've decided I've learned enough. Is the day I retire. Because I don't belong in this business. I don't belong. Whatever I think I'm doing, I'm done doing it. Don't ever, nobody ever stop thinking that you've learned it all. It's a poisonous way of thinking. And yet a lot of people will think that, particularly, remember, I'm doing workshops. I'm teaching people how to sell. I'm teaching people that have been selling for 30 or 40 years. I'll tell you right now, the great ones, and I've worked with Toyota and Disney and Bank of America and Northrop Grumman, you name it, okay? Mm-hmm. I've met all the great ones. They are first in line to learn even this much, just a tiny new idea. If they think they may be able to learn that, first in line. Yeah. It's the wannabes right behind them and go, well, I've been to a few of these things. I know what I'm doing. But not a good way of thinking. I never want to be that guy.
You always get better.
Right.
Always get better.
Yeah.
And I always want to make sure when I do get a guest that's coming on here like this, it won't take me so long to get them comfortable. Because I had a few over the years, like, I don't care where you was 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh, it ain't that party. Okay, let's do this. Like, yeah, relax. It's about you. I ain't digging no dirt. I ain't got no Olivia Pope nowhere.
Right.
And then just conversation about what they did to get to where they are.
Well, and think about your audience. By the way, to me, almost every sentence should end with just think about your audience. You know, we're in a performance business here. The audience doesn't care if you got in at 4 a.m. Matter of fact, if you tell them you got in at 4 a.m, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, because now as an audience, I'm sitting there analyzing and watching you and trying to assess where you're going to be tired. And I wonder what he looks like when he gets in at 12 o'clock at midnight. You know, why would you want to hand a loaded gun to your audience and say, watch me like I mean, it's so nobody cares. Nobody cares if the cat is sick. Nobody cares if you're sick. You got a job to do, and it's either do it or don't do it, right? But there is no do it, but hedge your bets and tell the audience first time I've ever done it, or I'm not feeling so well today, or I got in late. No one cares, and they shouldn't care. Just nail it. Go do it.
Yep. If you're doing it, do it right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I saw a performer once. Can't come up with his name, but saw him at Wolf Trap here in Virginia, and he got on the stage, and the first thing he said was, actually, I remembered his name. Have you ever heard of David Gray? Really good performer. He's got a raspy voice. That's the irony of the story I'm telling you. Okay. But he got on stage and he said, I'm not feeling real, so great today. My throat isn't so good. I've been doing a lot of performances, but I'll do the best I can tonight. And I have to tell you, I'm a huge fan. And I sat there and my shoulders slumped as a performer and went, oh, I wish he hadn't said that. And for the next 2 hours, I kept looking and listening for where his voice might break, where it may crack, where it's weak here or there. Why am I so preoccupied with that? Why don't I just sit back, drink my beer, and listen to this guy sing who has a raspy voice anyway?
They put you there in that thought. He said something about it.
Nobody needs to know. Right.
You're right about that. People tend to do that, which makes no sense. Now, you got a podcast. What made you do it, and what's the name of it?
All right, my daughter made me do it. Okay. I thought it was a natural thing to do. It's called Pocket Size Pep Talks, and it's my daughter, who is a successful podcaster. She's got one called Middle Children, and I think another one. My daughter's a podcaster in New York. My son is a stand-up comic in L.A. Okay. We were referred to as the Von Trapp family by the high school principal. My daughter is a really good pianist, but they both have podcasts, and they were sort of gnawing away at me. And so for a Christmas gift, my daughter got me a time with a sound engineer to do an intro, an outro, pick some royalty-free music, basically push me into it. And once I got that, I started a couple weeks before the pandemic, having no idea we were heading to a pandemic. And I don't know about you, but I've totally fallen in love with it. I've written blogs. I call them blarticles. I trademarked it. Not a blog, not an article. It's a blarticle. But I've done it for 15 years, over 400 of them. But when I write a blog, I could write in a closet. I'm not communicating with anybody. When I do a podcast, I get to meet you. I get to meet people. I get to extend my network. I get to learn things from other people. So I've really fallen in love with it. And I like I was a marathon runner. I like grinding away and just sort of smiling at the others and saying, well, I don't have any special secret sauce, except I'm going to give you everything I got, and I'm not quitting. And usually, though, you do those things, doesn't have to be a podcast. You'll be successful.
It'd be weird not to do a show.
Right.
I'm so used to now, like, we got to do a show. What we doing?
Yeah.
You do need to take a break here and there, recharge, but after you do that, get back to work.
Right. But I've loved podcasting. I think it's fun. I've met some really neat people. I've met some of my heroes. I might not know this person, but Tom Hopkins came on my show, for instance, who, when I was 20 years old, he was the first sales author who sold 1 million books. Mastering the Art of Selling. And get this, when I'm in the bookstore looking for my book, his last name is Hopkins. I'm Jolles. Usually his book is almost right next to mine. Mm-hmm. And so at the 21-year-old, he was like a rock star to me. And there he was on my show. Nicest guy could be. He's kind of retired now, but that's what a podcast did for me. It allowed me to meet some of my heroes. So I love it.
Oh yeah, I met some phenomenal
people. You met me.
Yeah.
I haven't hit hero status yet, but I'm working on it.
And a former guest, Charles McKay, he calls it Charlie Plug, Detroit Metro Plug podcast. He called me, he saw me, and that got him to start. And that blew me away. Like, someone's watching me?
Yeah.
Is anybody paying attention a little on me? People are. And once you start, you don't stop.
That's the key.
It's a whole
Don't
different
quit.
world with this broadcasting. Like, wow. I thought it died with the internet, but broadcasting was still alive and kicking out here. People still doing all this.
Yeah. Hey, have you ever seen a movie called from the 60s? I saw it when I was 10 years old with my dad, called Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Okay, yeah, with Paul Newman. There's a great scene in there as a 10-year-old, and I'm not a real big guy, and I remember the scene where he fought George Kennedy. George Kennedy looks at me, he says, "You better get some sleep because you're going to need it tomorrow." Okay, and they put the gloves on, and George Kennedy is a mountain of a man, just knocks him down. Paul Newman gets up, knocks Paul Newman down, gets up, knocks him down. But if they're cheering and yelling by about the 5th time, they're not cheering so much anymore. By the 10th time, a couple guys are going, "Just stay down." And Paul Newman says he's going to have to kill me. And he gets up and he goes down. And by about the 15th, 20th time, George Kennedy basically just walks out of the circle knowing, I can't beat this guy. And if you look in that movie, take a look at the guards because they look nervous, and they should be, because that's the guy you're going to have to watch out for. The guy that isn't going to quit. You notice the general theme here in this conversation? Yeah. We don't quit. It's completely in our control.
You're right.
Here, take a look at the screen. This is on my desk. Never quit. I can only put so many things in front of you. That one's in front of me. Don't quit.
You're right. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
You will get there. Well, we reached the part of the show to promote what you got going on. Floor's yours.
What do I have going on?
Yeah.
Mark, in September, remember we're constantly growing and learning. I've been in my career on my own now for 31 years. I'm doing something I've never done. And in late September, I'm going to put on a program. It's going to be 5 Fridays. A virtual program called How to Master the Art of Professional Speaking. I'm going to be talking about connecting with speakers bureaus, how to find gigs, where we source speaking engagements, how to contract, from a delivery side, how to put together a keynote and a presentation. And one other part, I have one of my 5 sessions is called The Sauce. I think you'll like this.
Nice.
I was watching a Chef Ramsay thing of all. Okay. And I'm not big into Chef Ramsay, but my wife and I were watching, and they had some other chef on, and they were eating this guy's dish. And this other chef said, "Oh, this is good." He said, "You cooked this chicken perfectly." He said, "But your sauce is off." He said, "And I don't know if you know this, but 75% of the meal is the sauce." And I sat back and went, damn right it is. But I wasn't thinking about a meal. I'm thinking about, again, when we do the things we do, there's the protein, that's the content, but the sauce is the part that I think that makes us extraordinary, that really elevates the dish, elevates the performance. So to try and isolate what is the sauce in a presentation. And so anyway, but I'm doing that. And if you're interested, JOLLES.com, you can get a hold of me there.
Okay. Anything else coming up? Booked or?
I got gigs. I'm heading out to Chicago on Monday. I do what I do. I'm going out giving a keynote to a company on Tuesday morning. I'm a fairly predictable guy. My bread and butter is seminar delivery, keynotes, workshops, seminars. That's what I do. In between, like you, I'm hustling on podcasts. I'm still writing my articles. I do my thing, and I do auctions, as I mentioned, for charities. I don't do them every weekend, but now and then it's a way of giving back. It's really a nice thing. As a speaker, it's been very good to me. Why not use the skills of a speaker to try and help a charity? And I got to tell you, I know you've seen auctioneers before. These are the guys that stand behind the lectern and they thump a mallet down and they chant. Yep. Well, I got to tell you, the chanting's the easy part. I like jumping off that stage. I like running right into that audience. I like practically grabbing them by their ankles and hanging them upside down. We're helping missing and exploited children today. I am unleashed. I'm coming at you.
Man,
and it's good.
I can see it too. That's awesome. I'm going to have to check that out. See you in action.
Yeah.
Anything else coming up?
No, I think that's kind of it. I do what I do. I'll tell you something's coming up. It's kind of cool. I've got I'm a father of 3, And my youngest daughter is going to have a baby in a couple of weeks. It'll be our first grandchild. So I'm going to be a grandfather in a couple of weeks, and I'm excited
Congratulations,
about that.
Papa.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get in trouble because that one came out last. That should have come out first. But that, and then the auctions and the seminar delivery and things like that. But yeah, we're very excited.
Now you gonna be one that spoil them crazy and send them home.
Oh yeah. Can I tell you another funny story about that?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think I was annoying my wife at the time, but we were sitting around the table, and for anybody who is a grandparent, there always comes the question of, well, what are you going to be called? Grandpa, pop,
Yeah.
pop. And so I was feeling kind of nutty, and I went, you know what? I want to be called Zippy. And everyone looked at me and went, and it annoyed my wife so much because I was just making a joke that I went, about the third time I said it, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to stay with this Zippy thing. So we'll see. To me, it'll be a motivator when I get old. It can't be called Zippy and go, how's everybody doing today? So it will inspire me to
That's
stay
awesome.
youthful. But right now, the plan is, assuming a child can form this word, I will be referred to as Zippy. There you go. You
They
got an
figured out
exclusive.
said that's gonna be crazy. Awesome at the same time.
Now I'm out of gas. That's all I got for you.
Okay. So now my mom, when she became grandma, let them get away with murder like for real.
Yeah.
You got the belt, the switch. I only tell them don't act like you forgot. We couldn't dare be touching out on the wall with dirty hands and don't spare repercussions. They just playing around like, yeah, see, we understand y'all come grandparents, y'all get soft.
Hell
All
yeah.
that just would just die and just I'm gonna give them everything they want so they can love you. And I want to go to my grandparents' house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can make some marks on our wall too, but then again, time for you to go home now. Zippy's got to get his rest.
Now, what has been your biggest challenge on your journey?
Biggest challenge for me? I think the biggest challenge for me from professionally has been for the first 16 years of my career, I was booked 4 months in advance. So it was really a career that kind of came to me. I got adopted by the financial industry, and I was just working every
Nice.
wirehouse, you name it. And then 2008 kind of came around, and we went into a financial crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And for the second end of my career, I have to source gigs like everybody else. But part of the challenge, and this is an irony, is you can get so good at something. I don't mean to be, pat myself on the back, but I had a couple years where I was out 250, 260 nights delivering,
Wow.
on the road. That's how you get up to 3 million miles. Well, guess what? I have a wife. I have 3 children. And so I was doing a great job of being a breadwinner, and I was loving my career, but it was almost like I had an addiction where the addiction will lie to you, and the addiction will say, "Whoa!" But when you're home, you're really home. And in 2 months, that schedule lightens up a little bit. Well, of course it lightens up. I'm really booked more than 2 to 3 months in advance, so it really will be light. It just is a moving mirage. So I think one of the biggest challenges of my life has always been professionally to stay in balance, meaning there's the work side of us and there's the family side of us.
Yeah.
And we it's really easy to overlook that other side. And all of a sudden I started seeing guys that I knew real well that were on the circuit with me with broken blood vessels in their nose from the alcoholism, living in townhouses, going through their divorces. And I just thought, I don't want that to be me. And I'm very blessed to have a wife who said, that ain't going to be you. And to do that, I had to pull back on my career. It's it's an unnatural act. We're bred. I'm bred to climb the ladder. And if the new rung presents itself, put your hand up on that ladder and go get it. Well, who teaches us when you're high enough, or maybe to come back down that ladder, just ease back just a little bit? It's not an instinct, particularly for a guy. And I think in the conversation, I don't need to keep telling you, a little bit on the competitive side. So that was a major challenge to me. Stay in balance. And then, the more you're out, the more you're booked because you get seen. The less you're out, the more you have to fight for your gigs. But I'm proud to sit here and tell you that I'd rather fight for my gigs than be a guy that's out 280 nights a year, 260. I had a 280 one too as well. And and not create a dysfunctional family. So that's been a challenge, but I've worked hard at trying to overcome it.
Yeah, that work-life balance is a big thing for a guy who on that breadwinner vibe.
Yeah. I actually wrote a book called The Way of the Road Warrior, Lessons in Business and Life from the Road Most Traveled, because I keep a journal. And I was, fun fact, I was actually in queue to be on Oprah, but she retired
Okay.
the show before I got on. But
you
I'd
really
gone
would've
through the
been
vetting
cool.
process and all that. But it was a book that really talks about what we learn on the road. But then the back third of it really slid into the destructive qualities. You don't have to be a road warrior. You could be a lawyer or a doctor or anybody who just isn't present, isn't home. And how challenging that is, because we want to be successful, but at what cost? So that has been a challenge, but I feel like writing about it, getting that book out, and that book did pretty well. But here's an irony. I've only been hired once in my entire career to speak about that book, because most corporations, they don't want to pay a guy to fly in and go, "Hi, everybody, stay home more. Stop working so hard. How much we paying this guy? Get him out of there." So
it's gonna
no.
get people back to the buildings.
Right.
They definitely want you doing that. Like, I don't know.
Right. So that's a secret little book of mine that people like to read it, but I don't talk about it a ton. Not professionally. I'll talk about it here. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, but you don't want your kids to say, "I remember you always paying for everything," but that's about it. Like,
yeah,
that's all you remember me. You was always working.
Yeah.
That ain't a good look. That ain't a good look. Got to find a little more balance.
Yep.
Now, in your words, what has been your impact in the community?
In the community?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think my impact's been pretty good, because like I said, I work for a lot of charities. I think at this point, I'm right around $10 million in terms of what auctions I participated in have raised. And when for me, when you're a charity auctioneer, it's a little bit, I'm licensed to do cattle, cars, antiques. I can do it. But I'm not in it for the money. So when you work as a charity auctioneer, you don't just show up with your gavel. Typically, I'm helping them plan things like that. So that's helped my community and other organizations. So I think that's done pretty well. And I did a lot of, I coached my kids in soccer and basketball. So I coached over 50 teams. So that meant my kids and 8 gazillion other kids. And I loved it. I really did. My dad was my Boy Scout leader, and he was a great leader. And, it's weird. I'll tell you how good he was. He was a Boy Scout leader, and I loved him being the Boy Scout leader. And usually, the only one who's not having fun is the coach's kid, the Boy Scout leader's kid. But he was such a cool guy. Our troop went from 7 guys to 120 within 3 years.
Wow.
That's how popular this Boy Scout troop was. This is, some years ago when scouting was a little bit more popular. Yeah. But he knew the reason why we grew so fast was he knew immediately that competition, and I'm speaking about boys, I women too. I just don't have the right to tell women what they think. I know as a guy that many males crave competition. And so we can get a basket weaving merit badge, which isn't real competitive. Or what we did was we would compete nationally against all sorts of troops, and we were undefeated. We were never beaten in any competition. And just 20 more seconds on that, but
that's awesome.
I got it right here. I'll show you. See this? I'm just pulled my knot rope off. What's a knot rope do in my office? Every single boy had a knot rope on them, and every one of them had whipping twine at the end. We would show up with our 10 knots, and there might be 50 troops there. The time to beat for 10 knots might be 2.5 minutes. We had 50 guys in the troop that could go under 60 seconds. We had 7 that could go under 45 seconds. And I held the record. I actually went under 30. I went 29 seconds. And you got red if you got under 60. You got gold if you got under 45. The moment I got under 29 competition, I pulled them off and and put silver tips on them. Okay. Which no one told me is not quite as good as gold. But point being that you see that competition. Maybe that was bred into me. But I love that. Anyway, I long about way. I love coaching kids, not to drive competition down their throats, to control it, but to understand that, we learn when we win, we learn when we lose. It's okay. Not all my teams won.
Yeah, I ain't with the participation trophies.
Right.
That'll help you get better.
No, but they're all going to have a great experience and learn a lot. And I still, many years now, a lot of those kids are in their mid-30s. I still hear from a lot of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we reached that Yoda game question. Hope made you relax, comfortable, giving that Nietzsche type perspective. What advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
Well, wow, that's a great question. It's one of the things that I do is I keep a journal. Mm-hmm. And I keep a journal because what I'm doing is I'm maintaining a conversation with myself. And it's methodical. And it's a way of being, in a sense, methodically observant. Now, I maintain a journal because I fly so much. So I would fly, on the way out, I'd write. On the way back, I'd write. When I didn't think I had much to write, I write a ton. When I think I know what I'm writing about, I don't write so much. But to just allow your mind to keep obsessing, keep a journal. I would bind them every year and actually send one down to Florida when my parents were alive, and I'd give the other one to my kids so they could see what their dad was thinking. But it helped me think things out a little bit, and I think that's important. I think that, remember when we talked about earlier, where we're never so good that we can't get better, we can't get advice. Mm-hmm. Sometimes really great advice is going to come from you, from ourselves. But that's why I tell people, don't worry if you think you have nothing to say. Say that. Say, today I have nothing to say. But I'll bet there'll be another sentence or two that follows it. I've found so many things when I thought I had nothing to say. But I think that's a great way of gaining wisdom. Real fast, but I think I was on a red eye once. I was coming back. Which means I don't know whether I was asleep, awake. I don't know what, but I was in this quasi, where am I? And I came awake. I went, I got it. I now know the definition of wisdom. And I think and I wrote it down. And I think the definition of wisdom consists of three things. It consists of success, failure, and a conscious knowledge of the lessons learned from each. So if all you've been is successful, I'd shake your hand. Congratulations. I'm not so sure you're the wisest person in the room, because it's all come to you kind of easy, but good for you. I admire that. If all you've had is failure, my heart goes out to you. But if you had, most of us have a combination of each, and we learn about why were we successful that day? Why were we not successful the other day? And we're methodically journaling that, recording that. That's how we become wiser. That's how we evolve. So that would be some advice.
That's a great way to look at it, because we always talk to ourselves before we maybe go, who should I ask about this? Because you try to rationalize and figure it on your own, so you figure out who you think that's wiser and get their take on it.
Yeah, but write it down.
Makes more dope, because you can go back and look like, oh,
yeah,
I was thinking about that, huh? So maybe I should try that.
Yeah. Really cool. Write it down. I think what most of us do is we talk it out. And that's how I got into it, by the way. I was back from another trip and going, you wouldn't believe it. This happened. I'm telling this story. And it was a professor at GW, a friend of ours. Mm-hmm. And he said, every time I'm here, you got stories. He said, are you writing them down? I went, no, I'll remember them. And I'm like, of course I won't remember them. And that day I said, okay. And now I can tell you, I've got about 2,500 pages of journal entries. Yep. And I really am looking forward to the day where I can, if I'm so blessed, where I can sit back on with a beer in my hand in a rocking chair and start thumbing through some of those journals and seeing when I was getting my butt kicked or when I was kicking somebody else's butt out there. But just read those stories. There's too many of them to remember. I would say write them down.
Yeah, I remember I had a dream. Or like I was in a dream, but I was watching it, and it was something like the Thundercats cartoon. I used to watch that as a kid. And when I woke up, I just grabbed paper. At the time, my wife like, it's 5 in the morning. What are you doing? Like, I just woke up and I'm writing on everything that happened was said. And I had like 2 big note things of the story. And she like, okay, run it by me like, well, I'm asleep. I ain't watching nothing crazy. And I wake up to where it's this gigantic battle scene, this, happened, this, the sorcerer, like, all this happened in your dream. And you remembered it like, it's like I was there, but just watching it unfold. And the moment I woke up, writing everything I can remember, like, okay, I got to finish that one. That could be my Netflix show.
Yeah, but you know how smart that is? How many times? That's a great analogy when you think about it. How many times do we wake up at 3 in the morning and go, oh, wow. And we have this idea or this thought, and it's clear. And the thing we tell ourselves is, I'll get up tomorrow morning. I'm writing this thing down. We go back to sleep. We wake up at 7 in the morning, whatever it is. And all we can remember is I had a really good idea that I was going to write down. I can't remember the dream. Well, if you take that and think about how many ideas that we have that we don't write down, and we con ourselves, we believe it, but we tell ourselves, I don't need to write it down. I'm going to remember it. You won't remember. Write it down. What's the worst that'll happen? You wrote it down and didn't remember it. Good. We didn't lose it. That's why everybody who's got a smartphone typically has a recorder on there. Use it. You know, I used to walk around with a little pad of paper. I don't need it anymore. Micro cassettes, etc. But use your recorder if you need to. But think about how many dreams you promised you'd remember. That's all you need to know in terms of how many ideas you promised you'd remember. Write them down.
And that never happened before. That what blew me away. Like,
yeah,
that was so real. And after almost a book and a half of them long notepads, I'm like, damn, I should have been saying it because, man, I got to retype this crap. And I got to get off my butt to retype it. So that could be another book get put out here too.
There you go. Getting off your butt. Call that book Getting Off Your Butt.
Yeah, because I know that's going to be on Netflix. And it reminds you of the old school, how we had real good cartoons back in the day with lessons you learn. Stuff I see now like this trash. They can't learn nothing from that. Or just violent. Like, no, I won't watch that. My nephew, no, you ain't watching that. We're going to watch something else. And now just have this conversation with you like, yeah, idiot, once you put that book out here, you're going to really see what it do. Did it start off hype? You're like, dang, this 300 or something? What the hell? This the story? Like, hey, that's how it starts. So don't when it come out to a movie too, hey, don't go get your food early. You're going to miss something. Or buy another ticket. You can do that.
Yeah.
Got one of my supporters. Good evening, everyone. Watching live from Liberia. Appreciate you, Franklin.
Sure do.
Over there.
Shout out to you.
And that's like, wow, Liberia, bro. That's pretty impressive. Pretty cool.
Hey, you were talking about cartoons. I got one in my head. As a kid, what was your favorite cartoon? Because I think it tells something about us. Oh. You go and then I'll go.
Oh, man, the 80s, we had so many. But I gotta go with Optimus Prime, man. Transformers.
Yeah.
He like that grandfather always teach you something.
All right. Well, see, and we're from different generations, but mine was you may have even heard of this one. It was a cartoon called Mighty Mouse.
What you know about Mighty Mouse?
Oh, love Mighty Mouse. First of all, he was a performer. Guy could sing. Okay. Here I come to save the day. He didn't just show up. He sang while he was saving the day.
That'd be dope.
Right. Second, I wasn't particularly a big guy. I appreciated somebody would come in and beat up the bullies. Okay. And the bullies were the cats.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bullies.
But it would teach you a few things. You know, usually good overcame evil. Bullies didn't get away with anything. And Mighty Mouse was one tough son of a gun.
Man, it was an old channel, the old black and white TVs they used. And I was graduating like in '96, like a Channel 38 here, and it had a lot of old school cartoons. Like they got Daffy Dog, Mighty Mouse. They had a Hercules cartoon back then. Wow, like, who is this channel?
Yeah.
My brother come around. What you watching? I'm watching Mighty Mouse. Like you lying? Like I don't know where it's coming from, but it's broadcasting. And we sat there and watched it. Like wow.
Yep. You know, everybody has Mickey Mouse watches. When I was in 4th grade, my parents got me a Mighty Mouse watch. Look, just like a Mickey Mouse,
watches, that's dope.
Had that big chested Mighty Mouse pointing at the numbers. It was great.
His chest was out too when he turned to Mighty Mouse.
Oh, he was in good shape, that mouse.
Yeah, he whooped up on people too. Now I love DuckTales because Uncle Scrooge taught you money, finance, and he was stingy as hell. Like, you start a business and then I might invest. Like, but then your nephews don't matter. Like, dang. Well, he do. Well, I guess that's why he stay rich because he ain't just gonna give it away. You gotta earn it. They ain't got stuff like that now, man.
No,
they ain't got nothing like that.
No, always with the dad. That was and man, those took years to create those cartoons. They were drawing them page by page.
Yeah, and I waited my Voltron. I mean, we had to knock off Power Rangers with a real thing. Yeah. Just saying. That'd be dope with technology we got now. I've seen Iron Man on screen before Voltron.
Yeah.
How the hell does that happen? We got tech to put Iron Man, Thor, and all that. I never thought they'd make it to movie. It was too violent. Yeah. And those making $1 billion movies. Like, wow.
Well, and I'm not a big fan of all those movies, but I think one of the best movies ever made was the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
Forget the second one, the third one. I don't care. And I'm telling you, I'm not a big fan of any of the Marvels, whatever. My son is. They're great. But that first Iron Man, that was dramatic. That was comedic. That was, intense.
You want to know?
It was everything. Yeah.
Inspiration for that movie? So the dude that played his bodyguard directed it. He watched The Dark Knight and saw, because that was like the real first movie about a comic that made money with Heath Ledger's The Joker. And he like, that's the right concept. Not a comic book movie, a movie about a comic.
Right.
And he took that, and Marvel made money because it ain't the cheesy stuff we saw back in the day they were made. It's a movie about a comic.
Right.
So without The Dark Knight, we wouldn't have Iron Man.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I never knew that.
Because these are Batman, Joker, but you're watching a movie. Not no cartoonist, cheesy stuff like, dang, this is real, okay. And that concept, which I no one ever thought about until my man who did it, Christopher Nolan. No, how'd you like being in the middle ground, brother?
I liked it. I'm enjoying it. Are you asking me questions nobody normally asks me? and you know what? I crave hearing my guests tell me that. I want to ask. When I teach people to sell, I want the customer to say, "Great question. No one's ever asked me that question before." That's a home run question. You've been asking me a whole bunch of stuff. I don't even think I mentioned Mighty Mouse since I was wearing the watch. But anyway, I've really enjoyed it. It's nice getting to know you, and I'm enjoyed the conversation. That's what I love about your show, and what I try and do with my show is, if it's real, remember I talked about authenticity. I want it to feel like you and I just were sitting around at Starbucks having a conversation. And that's what it felt like today. That's what I like about your show.
I try to live better tag, man, or treat you like family. We're talking about what you've done, make you awesome. Because someone might be at the stage where you were, and what you say, gonna say, you know what? He did it or she did it. I can do it.
Yep.
It is awesome. So if you ever want me on your show, let me know. I wouldn't mind coming by to help support you.
Yeah.
I'm all about being Avengers, helping each other out.
Good. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll take it off the air. We'll swap some emails on that. I'll tell you something else that your fans don't know. A compliment to you. It's very easy to work with you. You are lightning fast on answering emails, getting things done. I don't do a whole lot of podcast appearances anymore because I'm busy with my own podcast. But when I do, I appreciate somebody that's courteous, and courteous to me is just answer the questions. I'm trying to do that with my guests. You are lightning fast in terms of. I have a question. Bang! Here's your answer.
Man. I mean, you give me your time. I gotta make sure you getting that A1 because I'm never gonna be perfect, but this is. So I want you to feel that Dom Perignon treatment.
Oh, I had a nice sip of it. It's good. Thank you.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
Sip of the show, yeah.
Well, we want to welcome and thank speaker, five-time best-selling author, podcast host, coach, and live auctioneer.
There you go.
Actor, top customer relationship management voice, and Jolles. I said it right this time.
You got it. Yeah, that's it.
Associates Inc. President Robert Jolles.
Yes, sir.
And you found me now, so you need me to support something, let me know.
Yep. We'll talk.
And to everybody, enjoy your weekend.
Detroit raised me.